Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we are going to break down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, August the 5th. We do have a 6-gamer on Draftkings. On Yahoo, we got a 5-game slate. Yahoo not including the 2:30 game between the Grizzlies and the Jazz, so just a 5-gamer over there. We'll break down the slate position by position. I'll hit on the guys that I like at each position. Looking at this slate the night before, I'll give you guys some of my early thoughts. We will talk about DraftKings pricing. We'll talk about Yahoo pricing as well. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, would appreciate it if you would hit that like button down below. Always appreciate the likes. Hit the subscribe button as well. If you are new here, we've had a lot of new subscribers the last couple of days, which, I can't thank you guys enough for that. All the new newcomers, thank you for subscribing. If you are new here, click that subscribe button because I'm uploading a lot of content right now. I got MLB videos going up daily. I got NBA videos going up daily. I'm going to be trying to upload 2 videos a day until the season's over with pretty much, and when NFL gets here, if there is an NFL season this year, I will have NFL videos up every week as well. I'll probably get multiple NFL videos up during the week, breaking down, all the NFL slates, so incredibly excited. I'm producing a ton of content right now. Hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, so that way you get notified every time I upload, and you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, before we get started with this slate, I do want to let you know if you want to check out my Patreon, it's linked down below in the description. I give my early thoughts in these YouTube videos, just some of my early thoughts. But if you want more up-to-date, in-depth content from me, you can check that out on Patreon. It's linked down below in the description. I give updated core plays over there. I'll have a full breakdown article for this slate. It'll be very in-depth. It's usually like 10 to 12 pages long, highlighting all my favorite plays at each position, going in depth on why I like them. So you can check out the Patreon, see all that I have to offer over there. It's linked down below in the description. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at point guard for today. So at the top, we will start off with LeBron James, most expensive point guard at $10,700, and again, most expensive player overall on the slate. So I don't think LeBron's going to be someone I go to, much at all today. He just, for fantasy, he just hasn't been good since the season's restarted. He's a great player. LeBron's the best player in the world, if you ask me. He's one of my favorite basketball players ever. But just 3 games in the bubble in terms of DFS, for fantasy, really hasn't been that good. Just 44, 42, and 50 DraftKings points. He's still $10,700 as well. It's not like the price is coming down because of the bad games. He's still really expensive. I think there's other guys I'd rather spend on today. Like, for instance, we have Joel Embiid in a smash spot against the Wizards. You even have AD for $400 less than LeBron. You got Jokic, who continues to get pretty heavy usage right now with a bunch of guys out for Denver. But even like Ben Simmons, you got for $2,000 less in a great spot against the Wizards. You got like Jason Tatum playing without Kemba Walker. Even DeRozan at $8,300. I just don't think I'm going to be playing LeBron at 10-7 today. If he goes out there and puts up a triple-double and drops 70 DraftKings points, then I'll just be wrong. But I just don't know if the upside is there right now. Like, it just doesn't seem like he's really. I think he's, maybe kind of waiting for the playoffs to really turn it on. The Lakers, they're, I think 4 or 5 games ahead of the Clippers for the 1 seed. They don't really need to win these games. They should be able to secure the 1 seed. LeBron probably, kind of not really going all in right now, waiting for the playoffs. I think that's when we're going to see LeBron, really take over, what he can do, really show what he can do in the playoffs. This dude is just on another level, in my opinion. So for 10-7, I'll probably shy away today. Ben Simmons, I do like for $2,000 less. I think this is a great spot for Ben Simmons. Definitely a bounce-back spot for him. He was really disappointing last game against the Spurs. Played just 25 minutes. He fouled out in 25 minutes. Only had 21 DraftKings points. Literally one of Ben Simmons' worst games of the season. At $8,700 against the Wizards, one of the best possible matchups you can get. The Wizards this season, they're 5th in pace. They play at a really fast pace. They're dead last in defensive rating, a terrible defensive team. I like Ben Simmons quite a bit, and I think if I was going to pay up at point guard, he'd probably be the guy that I would go to. John Morant's someone I've been playing a lot recently, but his price is starting to come up now. He's up to $8K on DraftKings, so, I don't feel like I need to play him at that price tag, especially against the Jazz. It's just not the best spot in general. Fred VanVleet, though, I do like him quite a bit at $7,700. Fred VanVleet's just been really good through 2 games in the bubbles. He's played massive minutes, 40 and 42 minutes, 41 and 51 DraftKings points. The price is coming up on DraftKings, so he's not like a must play by any means. At $7,700, I still do have some interest in him. Yahoo, though, I think that's where I like Van Vliet the most. If we look at the shooting guard position, he's cheaper than guys like SGA, Jaylen Brown, just $1 more than Marcus Smart. I think Fred Van Vliet is definitely one of my favorite shooting guards over on Yahoo. And if you just look at the shooting guard position, I mean, it's not very good. Not a ton of options you see that stand out. You're probably going to be paying up here for one of these three guys, whether it's Brown, SGA, or Van Vliet. Maybe Marcus Smart you could consider paying up for since Kemba's going to be out. But I don't think this is a position I want to go cheap at. The one cheap option I could see playing would maybe be Torrey Craig. He might get minutes because I think we already got that Will Barton's out, Gary Harris is out. We don't know yet if Jamal Murray's going to play. But without Gary Harris, that should mean Torrey Craig starts. You never know what you're going to get from this guy. Last game, or the first game without those two guys, he played 28 minutes, had 25 fantasy points. Next game, played 24 minutes, had 18 fantasy points. Not a great point per minute player, not a great fantasy player, but if he's going to get, close to high 20s in minutes, at $10, he could be a play. If Karis LeVert remains out, which we don't know yet if he's going to play or not, he was out Tuesday, I believe, with a thigh injury. I think it is, so there's a chance he could miss here. Guys like Jared Allen Jared Allen was out for rest. I think Joe Harris was out for rest as well. So I expect those guys to be back. I wouldn't see a reason why they would rest 2 games in a row. But LeVert was actually out because of an injury. Supposedly he has a thigh injury right now. So there's a chance he could maybe miss again. If that would be the case, Tyler Johnson's only $10 on Yahoo. Started last game, played 26 minutes. I think started that game against Washington as well, played 29 minutes. If he starts again at $10, I would have some interest in him, but probably want to try and pay up at this position if you can. And I think Van Vliet, my favorite option to go to at $28. I mean, you're just so safe right now, getting huge minutes, 40-plus minutes. The Raptors are trying to win games so they can get the best possible playoff spot. I do like Van Vliet quite a bit today. But then other guys, Donovan Mitchell, feels like I'm playing this dude every slate, but I like the spot again here against Memphis. I mean, just really good matchup. Memphis, a very fast-paced team. In terms of pace this season, if you look at Memphis, they are 6th in pace. In terms of defense, they're about middle of the pack as well. Looking at defensive rating, they're actually dead middle, 15th. So it's a pretty good spot for Donovan Mitchell. The price has come up a little bit, $7,500, but still honestly might be too cheap for a guy that, can easily go out there and put up 40, 45 Draftkings points. Feels like a spot where he could do it against the Grizzlies. Seems like he's done pretty well in this matchup so far. Faced them 3 times during the regular season. Had an average of 40 Draftkings points per game against Memphis. So I have some interest in Mitchell as well. Van Vliet and Mitchell I like quite a bit in the 7K range. So Boston's going to be without Kemba Walker today. He played on Tuesday. He played limited minutes, but they already came out and said that he was going to rest on Wednesday. So that could definitely make someone like Marcus Smart pretty interesting. I never play Marcus Smart, but when I do play him, it's usually when Kemba Walker is out. With Kemba out, I do expect Smart to slide into the starting lineup. He'll get the start at point guard. We've seen him put up some big games without Kemba. He averages over a fantasy point per minute when you take Kemba off the floor. I like the matchup against Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn's defense is terrible right now. They don't really have anybody. They're just incredibly injury depleted. Smart's not cheap, though. It's not like we're getting him at 5K. I mean, he's $6,500. But still, no Kemba is a boost for him. So I have interest in him at $6,500. And then you got the San Antonio guards. Dejounte Murray, 6K. Derek White, $5,900. Derek White absolutely killed me last slate. I don't really know what happened. I wasn't watching the game much. I saw that at the end of the third quarter, he had only played like 20-something minutes, like low 20s in minutes. I don't know why he only played 29 minutes against Philly after he played 34 minutes in both games before that. My guess is that he gets, 32, 34 minutes most nights. I'm pretty sure Bryn Forbes is still out. Patty Mills is playing right now, but, with no Bryn Forbes, that does free up minutes in the backcourt. No LaMarcus Aldridge frees up usage as well. So I still like I still like Derek White at $5,900. I think he is very appealing. I do give the edge to him over Dejounte Murray. Murray's a guy that has a lot of upside, but his minutes are just so inconsistent compared to Derek White's. Like, if I had to pick one of the two to play 30-plus minutes, I think it's easily going to be Derek White more times than not. So White's the guy that I would prefer to go to there. But then looking at other point guards, if we're just talking about value plays here, so Ish Smith got the start at point guard last game. I liked him a lot once we got news that he was starting. He only played 22 minutes. I don't really know why, just 20 Draftkings points. He played 27 and 28 minutes the games before that off the bench, and then he starts and only plays 22 minutes. Kind of dumb. I don't really know why that happened, but I mean, I guess if he starts again for 4,800, I don't think he's going to play 22 minutes. I feel like that was kind of his minutes floor. I would expect, 26, 28 minutes, maybe more for Ish Smith. At 4,800, I would still like him as a value play if he does wind up starting again. But I think that's probably it for me in terms of point guard value plays, in terms of cheap options here. If Jamal Murray remains out, you could definitely go to Monte Morris, 5,100, but I think we covered everything. So let's go ahead, move on to the shooting guard position. So at shooting guard, like I stated earlier, Karis LeVert did not play on Tuesday because of a thigh injury. We have no idea, at least as of Tuesday night, if he's going to play for this game Wednesday. If I had to guess, I would say he most likely plays, but we don't know yet. Assuming he does play, I have some interest in him at 7,800. It's not the best spot here against Boston. This is definitely a game that could blow out, that could get out of hand. But if it stays close and LeVert gets his full minutes, this dude has massive upside right now, just getting so much usage. No Kyrie, no Dinwiddie. The ball's going to be in LeVert's hands all game. Played 39 minutes in a close game against Washington, put up 47 Draftkings points. Only played 28 minutes against Orlando, but that was due to blowout. Only scored 30 DK points in that game. I think we're going to get probably 34, 36 minutes from LeVert if it's a close game. He has 50-plus point upside here with all the usage he's getting right now. So I do like him a lot as shooting guard. Between him and Van Vliet, I think Van Vliet might be a little bit safer just because, Van Vliet is locked into 40-plus minutes right now. But LeVert, he probably has more upside because if the game stays close, LeVert could easily drop 50-plus. I like both guys a lot. I don't really have a preference. If you want to play both guys in the same lineup, I have no problems with that at all. I do prefer them over Donovan Mitchell, I think. I think those two guys give you a little bit more upside than Mitchell does. But Mitchell, not a bad play at all. I do like him quite a bit. But then you got the Boston guys you could go to with no Kemba. That is a boost for Jaylen Brown. It is a boost for Marcus Smart. These guys aren't cheap. It's not like we're getting them, at 6K or 5K or 5,500. They're their normal price. So, you don't have to just lock these guys in. I don't think I'm going to be playing too many Celtics here. I know Kemba's going to be out, but these guys aren't, 6,500. Smart 6,500, but I was hoping he would be about 5,500 because Smart's not a guy that's going to go out there and drop, 40 Draftkings points, and that's kind of what you need in tournaments at least for 6,500. That's what I'm looking for. So, yeah, I'll probably be off the Boston guys just because they're too expensive. If they're cheaper on other sites, then you could definitely play them there. But, even on Yahoo, they're kind of expensive. Jaylen Brown's $30. I'd just rather play Van Vliet for 28. He's cheaper. So, that's my 2 cents there. Tyler Johnson, 6,100 on DraftKings. I have no interest in him on DraftKings. But on Yahoo, he's minimum salary. So, if you want to play him there, I do like him on Yahoo. Troy Brown's someone I've been playing a lot recently, and I think I'm going to go right back to him today. He's 5,500 on DraftKings. If we look over on Yahoo, at small forward, Troy Brown is $17. So he's just getting a ton of usage right now with no Bradley Beal. I'll show you guys his numbers this season with Bradley Beal off the floor. We can take Davis Bertans off the floor as well because Davis Bertans is out right now, not with the team. We'll just see, or just so you guys can see his numbers this season with those two guys off the floor. Played 463 minutes with both Beal and Bertans off the floor. Troy Brown's has nearly a 22% usage rate. He's averaged over a fantasy point per minute, 15.7% assist percentage, 12.1% total rebound percentage. Those are very good numbers overall. You look at the game log, Troy Brown nearly triple-doubled in both of his last 2 games. He really struggled with foul trouble against Phoenix. Only put up 19 DK points in 27 minutes. But the 2 games after that, he really wasn't in foul trouble. I think he did get into maybe a little bit of foul trouble in that Indiana game. I honestly can't remember. But played 38 and 31 minutes in those 2 games. First game against Brooklyn, he was just 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Next game against the Pacers, he was just 2 assists and 3 rebounds shy of a triple-double. This is a guy that can contribute in all categories, can get you, obviously points, rebounds, assists. He can triple-double. He has, defensive stats. He can get those as well. For 5,500, I think there's still meat on the bone here. I still think he's a little bit too cheap. This guy's going to give you, I feel 35 to 40 DraftKings points most nights. There's obviously some risk here. Maybe this game could blow out. I know Philly, they're big favorites right now, 10-point favorites. If Troy Brown were to get in foul trouble, obviously that would kill his upside as well. But if it stays close and he's not in foul trouble, I do expect big minutes for Troy Brown. At 5,500, I still like him at that salary, and I think with the price tag coming up, that's definitely going to keep his ownership somewhat low. I know he's been really chalky the last few slates, but I don't think he's going to be big-time chalk today. I think the price tag coming up might scare people away, but not me. I definitely want to be on Troy Brown here. I think, there's still 35, 40-point upside for him. And I have a feeling I'm going to be pretty heavy on some Philly guys today because I love the spot so much for them. So maybe running it back with a couple of Washington guys, just hoping the game stays close. I do like doing that in tournaments. But then other guys we could look to at the shooting guard position, you obviously have Troy Brown in that 5K range. Looking for other guys that we could maybe go to. Not much stands out. I mean, Evan Fournier, not really a guy that I really ever play, but he's 5,200. Most games Fournier is going to get you 25, 30 Draftkings points. That's pretty good for 5,200. I think you just play him because he's cheap today. I don't really know any other reason why you would play him. I mean, the matchup isn't great against the Raptors, but Fournier is, a little bit too cheap at 5,200, just in my opinion. Other shooting guards, though, if we're talking about value plays here, I mean, there really isn't much value. Like Lonnie Walker, I've liked the last few slates, but his price is now coming up to 4,500. Only played 19 minutes last game as well, so, I don't really want to go there. Yeah, I think that's probably it for shooting guard cheap options for, value plays here. So let's go ahead and talk about the small forward position. So at small forward today, I do like some of the guys at the top here. I mentioned Ben Simmons back at point guard. I do have interest in Ben Simmons against Washington. Tobias Harris has been playing really well recently, but his price has come up to 8,600. If I'm going to play someone from Philly, I'm just going to play Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a much more productive player long-term than Tobias Harris in terms of fantasy production. When they're the same price, I would just rather play Ben Simmons. DeMar DeRozan, I do have interest in against Denver. He's getting a lot of usage right now, a lot of opportunity without LaMarcus Aldridge. But his price is also up to 8,300, so I think, with him being close to Ben Simmons, I'd probably just rather play Ben Simmons. Jason Tatum, though, someone I do like quite a bit at 8,200. If I was going to play one guy from Brooklyn or from Boston today without Kemba Walker, one of the studs, one of the big four guys, it would probably be Jason Tatum. If we do look at his numbers this season without Kemba on the floor, he does see a very big boost. I will pull them up real quick just so you guys can see. I'm pretty sure he sees the biggest spike in usage, and his fantasy production sees a spike as well. So looking at usage, let's see if I can find Jason Tatum. Sees a 4% bump in his usage rate, averages 0.12 more on his fantasy point per minute average, 32.8% usage rate, averaging 1.32 fantasy points per minute. Very solid numbers overall for Jason Tatum when Kemba Walker is off the floor. And he's 8,200, which I think, might be a little bit too cheap for Jason Tatum. This is a guy that legit, has 50, 55, close to 60-point upside. I mean, he nearly dropped 60 DK points on Portland just a couple days ago. I do like Tatum quite a bit. I think I would prefer him over DeRozan. Between him and Ben Simmons, that's very close for me. I think given the matchup, I'd probably give the edge to Ben Simmons for 500 more. But I do like Simmons and Tatum both quite a bit. If I'm going to pay up at small forward, it's going to be for one of those two guys. You could go to Gordon Hayward at 7,100. He gets a little bit of a boost without Kemba. But like I said, I think if I'm going to play someone from Boston, one of the expensive guys, between like Tatum, Hayward, Smart, or Brown, I think Tatum. I just play Tatum at his price and then not really worry about the other guys. Michael Porter, someone we need to talk about, coming off a huge game last game against OKC. Played 44 minutes in the starting lineup and put up 59 DraftKings points. Now, I don't expect Michael Porter to do this again, but this is a guy that does have massive upside. When his shots fall and he'll just keep taking shots. He can rebound as well. He did get a big double-double in that game. The price tag did rise a ton. I mean, he's up to 6,200 on DraftKings, so it's tough to pay that price for him. But if we do look at Yahoo, you have Michael Porter for only $14. He's cheaper than Troy Brown on Yahoo, so if you wanted to play Porter over Brown, I wouldn't mind that. I like playing both guys together, though. I think both guys legit give you 40-plus point upside. I'm always worried about the minutes with Michael Porter. Like, if he goes out there and just, can't make shots, he's struggling on defense. I mean, Mike Malone will pull him quickly and, not put him back in the game. But if he goes out there and starts knocking down some shots, he'll play 40-plus minutes. And we saw that last game against OKC. This is a dude that has a ton of upside. There is definitely a lot of risk. We could have a situation like we did against Miami where he's just not making his shots, only plays 25 minutes, only puts up 18 DK points. Or you could have another situation like you did against OKC where he just comes out and he's red hot and he just, keeps chucking the ball and Malone lets him play 40 minutes. So I'm willing to take the risk on a guy like Michael Porter just because the upside's there. At 6,200 on DK, I don't think many people will play him at all. So he should be very low owned for tournaments, which does make him a pretty appealing option. Like, I'd rather play him over Gallo. I know that, Dennis Schroeder's going to be out for OKC, but Gallo's just not a guy that has a ton of upside. Rarely is Gallo putting up more than 40 DK points. Like, most games, he's in between the 30 to 35 range. I mean, just looking at his last 10 games, he only has one game over, 36 DK points, and that was against Detroit. He had 38.75. If you're going to get like a 40-point game from somebody, it's much more likely to be from Michael Porter than someone like Gallo, or even, obviously you're not playing Garrett Temple, but like Rudy Gay. I'd rather play Porter over all these guys in this mid-range. But then if we're just talking about value plays at small forward, so a lot of these Brooklyn guys are still expensive from yesterday when, they were missing half the team. I think if Karis LeVert remains out, then you could definitely consider someone like TLC. He kind of had I think he did have the best game out of everyone on the team against Milwaukee on Tuesday. Played 31 minutes. He did get the start. Had 33 Draftkings points. Took 12 shots. Got the opportunity. If LeVert were to sit again, then there would definitely be more opportunity for TLC. So I do like him a good amount at 5,200 if LeVert sits. Now, if Karis LeVert plays, I'm going to be off him. I'm not going to have any interest. So that's just kind of a wait and see for me. This game is the last game on the slate, too, which kind of sucks. So I'm not sure if we're going to have this news before lock. I would think we would get it, sometime in the morning or in the afternoon. But, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I think we kind of covered small forward, talking about, I don't think there's really any cheap plays here. So let's go ahead and move on to the power forward position. So at power forward, looking at the top here, you got Anthony Davis, 10,300 against OKC. AD's coming off a huge game last game. Went off against the Jazz, put up 74 Draftkings points in 39 minutes. He looked fantastic in that game. I really did like him on that slate. He was 9,800. The price tag did come up today, up to 10.3. But I think if I had to choose between like him or LeBron, I'd probably give the edge to Davis. I just think Davis gives you more upside right now. We're going to talk about some other guys I like. You got Joel Embiid against the Wizards. I love that spot. There's some other guys you could go to as well. Like we'll talk about Jokic as well. So I would prefer those guys over AD, but like between AD and LeBron, I think I'd give the edge to AD. Really don't think I'm going to be jamming in either one of those guys though today. Especially if I'm only playing one lineup, I don't think those guys make the cut for me. So taking a look at other power forwards, like in this mid-range here, Rui Hachimura, 5,700, I have some interest in. The production's kind of been down, a little bit lower than I would expect. Through 3 games without Bradley Beal, without Davis Bertans, he's only put up 32, 23, and 26 Draftkings points. Really hasn't been that productive, but I still do expect the opportunity to be there. Should get more usage without Bradley Beal. Should get more minutes with no Bertans behind him. So at 5,700, I think you can definitely consider Rui in that mid-range. Another guy you could maybe go to, I don't know if I want to go to Rudy Gay. His minutes have kind of been up. I mean, he's played 26, 29, 24 minutes without LaMarcus Aldridge, without Trey Lyles. You never know what the minutes are going to look like for Rudy Gay because you never know what Papa's going to do. But if he gets like 26 minutes, I mean, there's definitely potential for him to put up 30, 35 DK points. He is a very productive player when he gets the minutes. He does average over a fantasy point per minute with LaMarcus Aldridge off the floor. So you could go to Rudy Gay, but I think my favorite guy in this mid-range, I mean, he's probably going to be really popular, but I don't really care. Brandon Clark, 4,600, I think is definitely one of the top plays for me today. Just too cheap on DraftKings. We already got word that Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be out for the season. I assume that Brandon Clark gets the start at power forward. I think we had this situation a while back where Jaren Jackson Jr. was out and they went and started like Solomon Hill. I don't think they do that today. I don't even know if Solomon Hill is with the team. Let me check real quick. Okay, so he's not popping up in the player pool, so I'm guessing, well, Solomon Hill's not even on, I think he's on the Heat now. I can't even remember, honestly. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Clark should get the start here. He should be in line for, bigger minutes without Jaren Jackson Jr. Behind him, or in front of him, I should say. Through 3 games in the bubble, the minutes have already been there for Brandon Clark. I mean, he's played 34, 25, and 23 minutes. This is a guy that has big-time upside when he gets the minutes, and I expect him to be there now that Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. So, love Brandon Clark. I think he's a top value at 4,600. DraftKings just didn't price him up. I'm pretty sure salaries came out, after that news or before that news was announced, so they weren't able to adjust the price. So, we are getting a pretty big discount on Brandon Clark. So, I like him a lot as a value at 4,600. But let's go ahead and move on to the center position. So before we move on to center, I kind of forgot to talk about somebody back at guard. There is a cheap value guard that I do like today. So I know I mentioned that, the Celtics, their big four, if I'm going to target one of their big four, it's probably going to be Jason Tatum. But there is some value from that team without Kemba Walker. I think Brad Wanamaker is definitely a value play we can consider with Kemba Walker out. I don't expect him to start. I expect Marcus Smart to start, but Wanamaker should get probably mid to low 20s in minutes off the bench, and he's a stone minimum 3K. I think he's very appealing as a value on DraftKings. I feel pretty good about him because if this game gets out of hand, which, it definitely has the potential to, there's a very good chance that Brad Wanamaker still plays even if it's a blowout. He's already been getting, mid to low 20s in minutes off the bench. Played 21 minutes on Tuesday against Miami. On the 31st, he played 26 minutes against Milwaukee. He only played 10 minutes against Portland, which was kind of surprising. But if I had to guess how many minutes he plays today, with Kemba out, I think we probably get like 24, 25 minutes from Brad Wanamaker. And at 3K minimum salary, that is enough for him to pay off this price tag. There's potential he gets more run, though, than that. Because, they could run him out there for 30 minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised. If this game blows out, they're probably going to have Wanamaker out there, really just getting a lot of blowout run, getting a lot of garbage time points, which, is great for us. So at 3K, they didn't price him up at all. If he was like 4K or 4,500, I would have no interest. But if the stone minimum, even if he gets you like 18 DK points, that's not really killing you. If he gets you like 22, that's pretty good. And if he gets like 25, which he definitely can, he's going to be one of the top values. That's nearly like 8x or 9x value. So I do like Brad Wanamaker. Forgot to talk about him back at point guard. Now on Yahoo, you can go to Brad Wanamaker. He is minimum salary over there, but I don't think you have to, just because there's you got like Troy Bryant at 17, you got Michael Porter at 14. Like, these guys are too cheap. Tyler Johnson's minimum salary as well. You could play him, especially like if Karis LeVert were to be out. So probably won't be playing Wanamaker on Yahoo, but I'll definitely have him on DraftKings at 3K. I do like him a lot over there. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about center real quick just before we end the video. So at the top here, we have Joel Embiid against the Wizards. I absolutely love Joel Embiid today at 10-4. I love him on Yahoo as well. He's very expensive, but I think he's worth the salary. This is one of the best possible matchups you can get against the Wizards. The Wizards, dead last in defensive rating, like I said earlier. They play at a top 5 pace in the league. They're also, one of the worst defensive teams against centers. If you look at DVP stats, if that's something you look at like fantasy points allowed to centers. I'm pretty sure Washington allowed the most fantasy points to centers on the regular season. It was either them or the Hornets. I honestly can't remember. This is a absolutely fantastic spot for Joel Embiid. He should dominate here. Showed big-time upside in that game against the Pacers, just, really took over. 81 DraftKings points, had 41 points, 21 rebounds, and 4 assists. Like, this is the kind of upside that Joel Embiid has. Like, this dude can absolutely go out there and just break a slate and score 70, 80 DK points. The minutes seem to be there as well. He's played 31 and 34 minutes the last 2 games. I'm pretty sure Philly, I think they've... So they're 2-1 to start off. They're 2-1 to start off the bubble, which is, good for them. They do need to win these games to, make sure they can stay in the playoffs, get a good seed, so they don't have to face a really tough opponent in the first round. I expect them to, continue to run their starters out there for 32, 34 minutes. That's what we should expect from Embiid today. He's expensive at 10-4, but honestly, I think he's got the upside in this matchup to be the highest scoring player on the slate. He's a guy that I want to pay up for at center. I don't mind Jokic at 9,700. Jokic should get plenty of opportunity with no Jamal Murray, with no Will Barton, or potentially no Jamal Murray. We know that Barton and Harris are both already out. Murray potentially could be out as well. Jokic showed that big-time upside last game against OKC, had a triple-double, 66 DraftKings points. If you want to go to him at 9,700, I have no problems with that. I think Jokic, in terms of like 9K and above, when you look at the 5 guys or 4 guys we have at 9K and above, between the 2 Lakers guys or Jokic or Embiid, I think I'd rather play Jokic and Embiid over LeBron and AD today. That might be a hot take, but given the savings as well, I do prefer those 2 guys. I think they're just on another level right now. They're just getting so much usage, so much opportunity. So yeah, other expensive centers though that we could maybe look to. So with no Jaren Jackson Jr., I think that does secure the minutes for Jonas Valanciunas. I don't think we're going to see them, go small and play like Jaren Jackson Jr. at center like they could do. This might be a spot where we see Joe Val play big minutes. It's against Utah and against Rudy Gobert, so they're going to need Joe Val's size out there against Gobert. Joe Val is someone I always have interest in when I expect the minutes to be there, and this is a spot where I do expect the minutes to be there. So at 7,400, I think he is very appealing. a very appealing center option. I do prefer him like over Gobert and on the other side. Thomas Bryant, someone I like a lot, so he's been absolutely incredible the last 2 games. You know, getting the minutes right now, 34, 37, 29 minutes, 27, 59, and 43 Draftkings points. This is a scary spot because Thomas Bryant does have a lot of issues with fouling. This is a guy that will pick up 2 fouls in a heartbeat, and we know that Joel Embiid will draw fouls very easily on people. But if Thomas Bryant can stay out of foul trouble, like they're going to need him out there to defend Embiid, so I expect the minutes to be there if he's not in foul trouble. If we look at Yahoo, I think that is where Thomas Bryant is most appealing. He's only $23 on Yahoo. I think that is way too cheap for a guy that legit has 40, 50 point upside. I mean, 43 and 58 fantasy points the last 2 games. If Bryant plays 30 minutes here, like he's going to get you 35 Draftkings points easily. He's just such a productive player when he gets the minutes. Can get you a double-double, can score, can rebound, can block shots. The price tag's coming up, but I still think this is a guy that has massive upside. So I do like him quite a bit, especially on Yahoo, more so than DK. But even on DK at 6,800, he will definitely be in my player pool for sure. You just got to hope he stays out of foul trouble because, if he gets in foul trouble, obviously that's going to hurt his minutes and just kill his upside overall. But if he stays on the floor, can keep his hands off Embiid, then I do like him a lot. But the last guy we'll talk about at center is someone I like a lot today. I'm assuming he plays. That's Jarrett Allen, 5,400 on DraftKings. Very appealing price tag for Jarrett Allen. So he rested Tuesday, did not play. I'm assuming, it was just a rest day, and he's going to be out there Wednesday to play his full minutes. There's definitely some concern here that this game against Boston blows out, and maybe Allen has his minutes limited. But if it stays close and he gets, his normal 34, 36 minutes, I mean, he played 38 minutes in their last game against Washington that he played in. Very productive, 48 Draftkings points. I mean, Jarrett Allen is a guy that has big-time upside when he gets the minutes, and the minutes were always a concern during the regular season because they had DeAndre Jordan to back him up. They had another capable center that they could turn to. Well, that's not the case right now. That DeAndre Jordan's not with the team. He opted out. Nick Claxton is done for the season, their other center. They have Dante Hall on the roster, but he's not a guy they really want to give minutes to, so I expect Jarrett Allen to get big minutes here. Boston's a good defensive team, but they are definitely a team you can attack down low with opposing centers. I like Jarrett Allen a lot at 5,400. I think he is too cheap, especially if he does play his full allotment of minutes. He's a value guy that I do like a lot at center. Like, I'd prefer him over Rui, Tice, Adams. I think he's by far my favorite center in the 5K range. But I don't think there's really any value plays at center, any cheap options worth taking a shot on, at least just in my opinion. So I think that's it for center, guys. I think we covered everything for this 6-gamer on DraftKings and 5-game slate on Yahoo. If you guys enjoyed this video, really appreciate you watching. Hit that like button before you get out of here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. If you haven't yet, you can check out my Patreon exclusive content, link down below in the description. I do post a ton of stuff over there. I have an article posted for both MLB and NBA today. Usually get those out early in the afternoon, and then about 1 to 2 hours before lock, I will post updated core plays over on Patreon. And of course, I'll be in Discord chat throughout the day to answer any questions, to talk through the slate with all my subscribers on Patreon. So check out the Patreon link down below, see all that I have to offer. I think that's it, guys, though. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.